Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Creative Kindergarten Podcast. I'm Amanda, and I'm an early childhood educator in a full-day kindergarten classroom. And today we are in episode 8 of the podcast, and we are going to be talking about homework in kindergarten. For this episode, we're going to be talking about an issue in kindergarten that can sometimes be divisive. Homework in kindergarten is a very hot topic issue, and these are my personal opinions on homework in kindergarten. It doesn't mean that it has to be the way you do it. It doesn't mean it has to be the way anybody does it. Just a new way of looking at homework in kindergarten and what that can look like for you and what it looks like for other people's classrooms. The first thing I want to do is examine our reasons why or why not we have homework in kindergarten. So there is a large variety of reasons across countries, across Canada, across the United States of why people give homework or why they decide not to give homework. And I just wanted to talk about the few reasons that I know that people have for choosing whether or not they do homework in kindergarten. So the first thing is it mandatory? Do you give homework because that's what the board wants you to do or your school wants you to do? Is it something that you have to do? Do you have to give homework? In that case, then that's your reason why. You have to give homework in kindergarten. You want to keep your job, so you give homework in kindergarten. And that's a perfectly acceptable reason. Is your reason you give homework in kindergarten is because that's what everybody else has always done? They've always given homework in kindergarten, so you're just keeping up with what everybody has always done? Maybe that's a way you can approach it, and maybe look at why you're deciding to give homework and decide whether or not that suits you. Or maybe you've just never given homework. That's just, you don't believe in giving homework in kindergarten. You do not want to give homework, so you just don't give homework. So there could be a large variety of reasons on whether or not you give homework. So if it's mandatory, you have to do it. Maybe everybody else does it, so you just follow along with what everybody else is doing. Or maybe you just don't personally believe in homework, so you don't give it. Or you personally do believe in homework, so you give it. So let's just examine our reasons why we're giving homework and make sure that we're deciding on giving homework because it's in the best interest of our students and we truly believe in giving homework. So let's make sure we're examining our reasons why we're giving homework and making sure it's in the best interest of our students. And if you have to give homework, make sure you're giving homework that best benefits the students that you have in your classroom for this year. I know that a very popular way of giving homework is doing a home reading program. I know I've done this every year that I've been in kindergarten, is that every week we send home a book to be read at home with families. So we change out the books every week. We usually send home a reading log so that parents can track which books they've read, and we can make sure that the books are being sent back and all that kind of stuff. A home reading program is a great way to stress the importance of reading at home with families. So you're sending home a book so they don't have the excuse of, I don't have any books, can't buy any books, or they didn't have time to go to the library to get a book. They're getting a new book in the child's backpack every week so that they know this is what you should be doing. So I love home reading programs. I think that's the best type of homework to give students, is just starting their lifelong love of reading by sending home books and saying, hey, this is what you should be doing. You should just be reading with your kid. I don't think that you need to give a ton of homework or a homework packet that goes home every night. Our students, especially in our JK, SK, in our full day kindergarten program, the JK students, they can come to school as young as 3 years old. So they have to be 4 by the end of December. So some of them are so young and they're spending so much time at school. And if you send home more homework at the end of the day and they're spending more time on work, then they're just not going to love it anymore. We really want to foster that love of learning. And if you're making it seem like so much work for them to have to do and have to accomplish every day, then it's just not going to be fun for them and they're just not going to love it and they're going to fight their parents on it. They're going to be extra tired. So I don't really love the homework packets. I do love a good home reading program though. That is one of the best ways to encourage a homeschool connection, is making sure that parents are reading to their child every night. Another part of this homework situation is that every year, especially during Meet the Teacher Night, we always have those parents that ask, what more can I be doing with my child at home? And it's Meet the Teacher Night. There's 50 people in our room, and I'm trying to talk to all these parents. And every year I struggle with how to answer that question. What else can you be doing at home with your kid? And I always say, you can read to them. And they'll say, yeah, we do the home reading program. We read to them every night. But we want to do more. Or they have older siblings and they see their older siblings doing homework and they want to be able to do homework too. So the kid is actually asking for something to do. Well, in that case, I struggle to come up with what more can you do? So I usually give them tips like, practice writing their name, practice writing the ABCs, sing songs, practice writing numbers, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll say in our monthly newsletter, I tell them what math strains or literacy strains we're learning about that month, and just to look at that and just play games and things with their child according to what strains we're learning that month. But every year, every parent-teacher conference, every Meet the Teacher Night, we always get asked that question, what more can we do at home? We do have a school in a community that has a lot of parent involvement in a good way. These parents are really excited for their kids to be attending school and want to provide the best education they can. This is a school where parents actually move into the community so that their kids can come to this school. That's how involved these parents are in their child's education. So I know they want a better answer than just play some games. Some of them really want to do some extra things with their kids at home, and it needs to be on the level that their kid is at. So I came up with this great solution. I think it's a great solution so that the parents that want to do more can. We send home monthly homework challenges. It's kind of like a calendar, but there are no dates attached to these homework challenges. It's just a grid, and it has different activities that the parents can do at home that match what the students are learning in school. For example, we do talk about the change of seasons to fall, go on a walk, and talk about the different fall signs that you see around you. Help sort the laundry, set the table, things that parents usually are doing already, but this just kind of gives them that extra little push to put the academic component into what they are doing with their child. They're really easy to do. We don't send any extra papers home, any extra packets. It's literally just a one sheet a month that they get sent home, and it's a homework challenge. And it's great for those parents that want to do that little extra at home. It's not mandatory. We don't ask for them to send it back. We just have it so that the students know that they're getting it that month, and that if they do bring it back and they do show us that it's completed and they've done it at home, we do get to showcase that to the rest of the class and just share that excitement that they finished all the activities with their families. We give them a sticker and we write a nice little note on it before sending it back home. I get asked that all the time. What do you do if parents don't send back this homework packet? We don't do anything. We do live in a great community, but there's always those kids that are not going to have the extra support at home. And for those students, we're not going to single them out. We're not going to make them feel like they did something wrong. It's if the family chooses not to do those activities, then they choose not to do those activities. We're not going to force it on them. Sometimes they don't have time. There's lots of extracurriculars happening. They have older kids or younger siblings. It doesn't matter. We don't force it. We just make sure those kids are getting everything they can at school, and that's all we can do. So these homework challenges are available in my store. I will put a link in the show notes if you want to check it out. But consider something like that with a little bit less pressure on your students to have to complete and on the families. If it is a homework calendar and there's dates attached to it, then parents feel like, oh my goodness, I have to get this done tonight, where they might have a soccer practice, a baseball practice, and they have to do groceries and they have to put their kids to bed at a certain time. And it's just that extra pressure to put on these families when there's so much more going on in their lives. And then it is really homework instead of just being some fun activities that they can just do whenever they have a chance. If they get them all done in a weekend, perfect. That's amazing. If they don't have time one weekend, but they have time to do a few of them on Wednesday night, but then don't have time again until the next Thursday, that's okay too. They just do them at their own pace, and then there's no pressure to send anything back at a certain time and a certain date. Parents don't have to remember to do anything extra. They can just stick this calendar in the fridge, and whenever they have an extra second, they just do one of the activities. I think it's that perfect balance between involving parents in their child's education and that homeschool connection, and giving what the students need. And the students don't need to feel the pressure of tons of homework. They don't need to feel the pressure of having to get things done in a deadline. Some of our students, again, they're 3. Some of them are 4. They could be 5. They're young. Let them play, let them learn on their own time. Make sure school is still fun for them. We are at a point in their lives where we're setting them up for a lifetime of education. This is the entryway to the education that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. We want to make sure they're excited about it. I don't want them to feel upset or anxious or pressured at school or at home to make sure that they're doing all these extra things, because that just sets them up for a lifetime in education of feeling those same feelings. So in kindergarten, it is really the gateway, and we want to set them up for success and for a love of learning. And this is a great place to start, where we don't actually put that much pressure on them with the homework aspect. I want to go back to when we were talking about your reasons for giving homework in kindergarten. Is it mandatory? Well, if it is mandatory, do you have to give a homework packet that the school board tells you to or the district tells you to? Or is it something that you can play around with? If it's something that you can play around with, make sure that the homework you're giving is fitting the needs of your school and your community, and making sure that it is what is best for your students. I really want you to examine that. I'm not passing judgment on you. If you are giving homework packets and that is what works for your school and your school community, then that's perfect. Do what you need to do. But I really want you to think about it and really examine your reasons why, and look at them in a way, in a growth lens, so you can really see and think about your reasons behind the homework that you're giving. Is it how it's always been done at your school? People have always given homework packets, or they've always done homework a certain way, with a calendar, with dates set, with deadlines. Re-examine those reasons why. Maybe you want to come back and approach it from another way. Maybe you take the dates off of that homework calendar. Just take a white out, and you just white out the dates and just put a little note on it that says, hey, do these when you can. Maybe that's just the way you approach it. You just take the dates off. It just takes that extra pressure off these parents and these families that might not have the time on Tuesday to do the certain piece of homework that you've assigned for that day. And maybe you've never given homework. Maybe that's what works for your school community. The parents are not asking for anything extra. The students maybe don't have the support at home to do anything extra, so you just never give homework. That's perfectly fine too. Just make sure you're examining your reasons why, and you're making sure that they really do fit your school and your school community. So that's it for today's podcast. I really want to know, do you give homework in kindergarten? Why? Why not? What do you give for homework? I really want to know. So I want you to do me a favor and make sure you follow me on some kind of social media or on my blog to let me know why or why not you give homework and what kinds of homework. I will put everything in the description of this podcast, but you can find me on Instagram. It's a long handle, at Creative Kindergarten Blog on TPT. You can find me there. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm Creative Kindergarten on Facebook. And you can always find me on my blog. It's just creativekindergartenblog.com. I also have a newsletter that I will link below, and that connects to my email. So you can even just send me an email. I love being able to talk to you guys and learning about your reasons for giving homework or not giving homework. I'd love to see your ideas and your perspective on this. So make sure you reach out to me and you let me know. That's it for episode 8 of this podcast. Next week, I will have episode 9 for you. And episode 9 is going to be all about fine motor skills. This past year, we have completely revamped how we approach fine motor skills in our kindergarten classroom, and I would love to talk to you about it because I think it made such a difference with our students this past year, and it is a thing that I'm very passionate about. So make sure you tune in next week to listen more about fine motor skills in our kindergarten classroom. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see y'all next time.